All right, Mark Paaluhi. We just had a great off-the-record conversation. I just want to keep it. I just want to hit the red button and keep it going.
Yeah. Oh, you want to make that off the record, on the record now, huh?
Now I kind of want to. I'm with you. You know,
Uh,
I like double eliminations. I like
yes.
long tournaments at the beach.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree. And
and I want to present Try's side of the argument while he's not here. So Try's absent. He's
yes,
playing in China literally as we speak. I had a nice win over Portugal last night, but Try likes league format 15-15-15, or allegedly he likes it. He
allegedly.
likes single elimination because all the athletes are fresh and rested and playing their best. I like double limbs. I like long days at the beach. I like having multiple opportunities for people to drive down from, say, Santa Cruz to watch their favorite players play.
Yeah.
I'm a purist in that I like double eliminations. I feel like people who listen or watch SANDCAST are probably so tired of me saying it, but I feel like someone's gotta hold the ground, Mark.
I absolutely, I'm right there with you. I got the pitchfork right there with you. It's I just don't understand what is wrong with our sport that we have so much change for the last 20 years, 20, 30 years practically now of change. There was nothing wrong with the sport in my opinion. Some changes in the rules, little ones here and there. Yeah, if they benefit the sport, let's do it. No brainer.
Yeah.
Let's move on and get it. But the massive part of this, the format, the scoring, I just don't understand it. Pool play and then modified pool, like this is all a joke to me. It's like, really? What?
Enough you lose. You
Yeah.
can still move.
And you still like, it's like lucky loser. Like, okay, yeah, I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense for me. Once you start a competition, you let the competition go and let the dominoes fall where they fall is the way it should go.
Yep.
You don't go and pick up, oh, we'll pick this domino up and this one, if this is the third one that falls, we're going to pick this one and put it back in there. No, you let them play. You go. 'Cause it's what the competition's for.
Yeah.
You don't go, well, let's play a pool play, and then we'll throw the dice again, and we'll play. No, you let them play. That's your most accurate information of that day and that competition from there. You seed it prior to what your results are before. Today's a new tournament. Bam, let's get them going. Fire them off. That's why we got the Hermosa Open.
That's why we got the Hermosa Open. Tell me, year 2, baby. We're back.
Year 2, we're back. We got a 3-year deal.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So it's a 3-year deal that includes 24, or is this a 3-year deal like 25, 26, 27?
25, 26, 27.
Sweet.
Yeah. So just a little throwback to last year, to Hermosa.
Yeah.
We had, originally it was just going to be a one-time deal. And then when I was scrambling for sponsors and stuff, a buddy of mine helped me get in contact with Wedbush. Wedbush immediately responded, yeah, I want in. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And then like a couple days later, yeah, I want, and I had a sponsor deck. And he goes, yeah, I want the platinum deal. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait a minute. And then he went radio silence for me for like 6 weeks. And this is already like, I got the permit on the end of May, the official permit.
Mm-hmm.
I started reaching out. This is the beginning of June. And then we went on a, chase. And then probably about latter part of June, that's when I got the first hit from him, my buddy trying to, get us to meet up and stuff. And he was on vacation in the Caribbean islands someplace.
Why not?
And all I thought when he was saying, oh, I'm in the Caribbean islands, I'm on the beach right now, and I just get your message. And I could picture him just relaxing on the white sands and looking at the sponsor deck and, I want the platinum. I'm like, yes. And then he went radio signs. Okay, well, he's on vacation. But he went radio signs for a long time, like 6 weeks plus. So that pushed us all the way into like, oh my God, like latter part of July, early August. And I'm like, dude, you got a month before this thing. I've got like 70, I think it was like 75,000 raised at the time. I said, well, we're going to play for 75,000. That's all I kept thinking to myself because I couldn't get a hold of him. And then, out of the woodworks, he comes out. I keep begging to finally get a hold of him. We meet, we talk. He was, he was like, well, it's kind of tough to just do one event and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I'm losing this guy. I'm like, no. So we started talking. I said, man, but you're doing a good thing for a sport right now. Let's rekindle this. Let's just at least get this one in. He goes, Mark, you get me a 3-year deal, I'm in. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking in the back of my head. I said, okay, you're on. And then I walked away from that meeting and going, what am I thinking? I just was thinking I was just going to do one time,
Right.
done, wash my hands, and then, stand off and hopefully the AVP come back.
Right.
And then now, next thing I know, I put my foot in my mouth and I said, yeah, okay, 3 years, let's go. And then he said, you got to get me a promise the city's going to look at. So I went hightail it straight to the city immediately, literally right after that, making phone calls and everything. Hey, we got to talk. And so after about a week or so, they said, okay, you have to apply, go through the whole process that, we need you to do. And we can't guarantee you because we don't offer a 3-year until we see the first event. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm like, I go back to Wedbush and I go, look, hey, this is the sticky. I'm going to go after it. If that's what you want to do, I'll go after it. But the city won't allow me to have the 3-year deal before the event.
Right.
So I can't, he's all right. So he was get me a meeting with them. And so I got a meeting with the city and he was there. The meeting went great and everything. We walked off and he didn't really say much till we walked away from everybody. And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're great. I'm like, wait, what? Like, we're like legit? We're going? He's like, yes, we're going. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, oh man, I ran out of there and I just got to work. And next thing we know, we raised about $220,000 and we had the event, hopefully everybody had a great time. We'll come back again this year and hopefully we'll have it just as bigger, if not bigger, just as big, if not bigger. And then, start growing it back out there in Hermosa.
Yeah.
And just keep having a good old time.
South Bay, greatest place in the world to play beach volleyball.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's no question about it. Like, and I've been, because I was like, all right, I've never been to Rio. Went to Rio in the fall, and I'm biased because I lived in the South Bay for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I still think the South Bay is number one.
Yeah.
And talking to Hovland and Kent, and they're the same thing. Like, Hovland's been like, man, I've been all over the world. There's nothing in the world like Hermosa Beach.
Yeah.
It's a special place.
Yeah.
And I know the players universally loved it last year because I don't know what it was because they played in tournaments with that kind of prize money, but they're like, it was just the best vibe tournament.
Good.
Like Miles Evans was like, dude, it was so fun. I think the ultimate compliment. So Rafi Paulus, barbecues, loses both. He's like, greatest tournament of the year, best tournament of the year. Like it's like when it's a good golf course when you shoot like a 92 and you're like, bro, I love that golf course. Like it was good when you play shitty and you still loved it. Yeah, the players loved it. Well, because you brought so many elements back aside from just the purity of a double-elim.
Yeah.
You also brought back the little parties and celebrating all the like Silvio's or Pinellas.
Yeah.
Now and doing the little parties at night, and that was like it was a very old school kind of thing. It was pure.
Yeah. And we're gonna do the same thing this year. I'm working with the museum in Hermosa.
Cool.
We have the whole Hall of Fame of beach volleyball there. So the Thursday night, all the players. And this is not 100%, but we're about 85% there.
Okay.
We're really close. So, but all the players that are in the main draw and all the former players and past winners and stuff and sponsors are going to come hopefully meet there, and we'll have a little dinner and talk a little story and talk about the event starting off the next day. So it'll be a fun thing, a lot of interaction with the past and the present, and maybe even get some ideas of what people want to see and what they think we should kind of move towards in the next couple more events. Then we'll have the player party. That'll be on a Thursday night. We'll have a player party on the Friday night, Saturday night at Tower 12. We already locked that deal in too. So all the people who are out there that want to come and watch and participate in the event and see some of the pros, part of the thing it's I can't say it's mandatory, but I highly ask and request all the players. I don't care if you're the number one player in the world or you're the 32nd seed in the whole thing, going to the player party and having a blast and just have fun. All I ask is you go for at least an hour, buy a drink for some. You don't even have to buy. I tell the players, you don't have to buy the drink. There's a bar tab. These sponsors are putting it up. You just give them a Michelob Ultra. You give them a Bandero tequila. have a conversation with them, tell them to come watch you play at an A. And that's as simple as, and that's pretty much, and I think I mentioned it before, but that's as simple as it is in what we call grassroots marketing, right? And so I remember the days when I first played on the tour, and you know, the players yelling at me, Hav, of all people, and go get out there. I'm like, get out where? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Go to where you're going right now. I said, well, we're going to this bar, and get out there and tell them we're playing tomorrow. Get them out there to come out. And I'm like, holy shit, that's how it happens, you know? And it's as simple as that. And I learned quickly because of those guys passing it on to me and to all my buddies who were playing on the tour at the time. And, you know, moving on and going out and getting, you know, those things. And as simple as just saying, hey, we're going to be out, you know, playing out here at the beach here in Hermosa or wherever we were, in New Jersey or Florida, wherever it was. Every stop was like that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was, it's cool to see that being brought back.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean, all those guys, like Sinjin, Randy, Hoff, Dodd, like they would go from town to town. They get there early, and they go to all the bars and restaurants, and it was, they'd kind of create a scene in a good way, and just promote it, and then people would show up and they'd do it again.
It was so much fun. It was even like when we had Miller Lite at the time, and I'm still this day I'm kind of like Kmart. I still owe Kmart, but Kmart and myself, Kmart, Gatsky, and I forget who. I think it was Nick Hanneman. So we were in Dallas, and Miller Lite. It's like, okay, we got 2 promos to do. One's in at this bar, you know, it's a pretty cool bar and stuff, and the other one's at a drag race. And we went, what, drag race? And you go, yeah, drag race. And then so they said, but only 2 of you guys can go to that. 2 can go to the restaurant. I'm like, dang. So Nick and I look at each other. We're like, well, let's figure out who gets to go. Like, what are you gonna do? And they're like, let's Rochambeau. And I'm like, oh, man. So Nick and I Rochambeau'd against Gatsky and Kmart. Long story short, we lost. So those bastards got to go to the drag race. We went to the fun thing. We had fun and everything.
Yeah.
But when we got back to the hotel, those guys had got back about the same time. And they were just on fire when they got back. We're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to a drag race,
Haven't.
Oh, dude, it's the most amazing thing. You feel it rumble.
I've been in a drag racing car.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I did a story on a guy when I was living in Fort Walton. There was a drag racer.
Yeah.
And so I went and did a feature on him. So I went to his house, and we got in his car on the highway. He's like, you want to punch it? And it was cool because like you had the cage seats, like the cross seat belts. And he was like, let's go. Man, we went like from probably 60 to like close to 200 very fast.
Oh, my God.
And it's cool. It's crazy because like you lose control a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, the car's wobbling. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I bet you stopped your heart for a second there.
We probably did that for maybe 5 to 10 seconds. It like a thrill.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Talk about, I didn't get to do that, but I got to sit in the stands when my friend, you know, had these seats for us, and we were pretty close. And it was, I was in like, whoa, it just like, you feel it inside you. Like it's the craziest thing. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's so powerful. Like it's just so much energy from that. I was like, man. But anyway, when we saw Kmart, he was so like excited about it, telling he still had rubber because he got to sit next to the tree down there by the start gate. And I'm like, no, what? I was so mad at him. To this day, I still think about it. In fact, I went to his house a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking, I didn't tell him, but I was like, God, you son of a gun. I still to this day, and that's like 25 plus years ago.
That's so funny.
But like things like that, you know, it's just a lot of fun getting out there and interacting with people, and that's what I kind of want to make the Hermosa Open still grasp that core of it, you know.
Oh man, Leon Luini and Ruben Peninga, our Dutchies, man, they also barbecued, and one of their first reaction was like, there are so many good players in the U.S.
Yeah,
we were like, because on the Dutch tour, they're like, first round, maybe we'll be hungover, we'll win, no problem. And they lost to, I think they lost to Jeff Samuels and Diego Perez. Oh, yeah. And then they lost to Roshitz and Pete Condell.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's who we're playing for 25th. Yeah, it's pretty deep out here.
Yeah.
But they had the greatest time. And Leon, like as soon as they got knocked out, he's like, can we come back next year? Like, come on, man, let's go.
Absolutely. So I'm hopeful those guys come back, because it's funny as heck, because the council member, I think he's a pro tem, he was just mayor, but he just transferred the pro tem position or something. And his he came down to the tournament, and just so happened he talked to the first players that he saw,
Yeah.
and it was those guys.
Oh, sweet.
And they were like, "Dude, this is our first time in the United States." And he's like, "Dude, this is your first time in the United States?" He goes, "Yeah." "You came to Hermosa Beach?" He goes, "Yeah." They were saying, "We want to come back," and that was part of the big part. To be honest, that when I went to the city council to confirm the three. That city council member brought that up. He's like, "Dude, that is one of the things that was so cool about that event, blah, blah, blah." And all the council members all voted it and favored it. So it was awesome. And so we ended up, getting 3 years.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
Before we get too far into stories, so that's just details of when is it?
September
Obviously, it's
4th.
in Hermosa.
Yep, Hermosa Beach, September 4th through the 7th.
Okay. Which is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday this year?
No, Thursday. So Thursday's the qualifier on the 4th. 5th, 6th, and 7th. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday main draw. So last year we finished on a Saturday. This year we're going to finish on a Sunday. So hopefully we can get more traction throughout the weekend on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday final. We also have movies on the beach. The Hermosa is hosting.
Cool.
And a concert on the beach at the end of our tournament. There's a concert on the beach right after.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Good little lead in.
Oh, man, it's going to be hopping that whole weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And 32 team main?
32 team man, yep.
24 in, 8 out of the quali?
It will technically be 23 into the main. We got one wild card to the CBVA finishers in the men and women the weekend prior.
Okay.
Labor Day in Hermosa, actually. So
which is one of the best CBVAs.
Yes. So, anybody coming out, that's what you got to do is you got to get there, play that weekend if you're being a qualifier, or if you're not, come in a little early. Enjoy that. Maybe even still compete, get a little practice in while you're there, or just train, do it right there, hang out. Yeah. There's actually a lot of action going on with the stuff going on at the pier there, and I can tell you about a couple other places to go.
Yeah. Man, it might have been my first CBVA win was actually at the Cal Cup in Hermosa with Dylan Merrick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Won that one twice now. Won it with Jake Urrutia.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, a couple, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. Nice.
I love Hermosa.
Yeah. Hermosa's the best,
It is the best.
That's my favorite place. I grew up there, so I'm a little biased, but yeah.
It's not, we're all biased here. We're transparent about it. But so with Day at the Beach events, you put on a ton of events, but putting on an event of this magnitude is different. What did you learn year one?
What did I learn the year one? That, a lot of people love our sport, and a lot of people want to support it.
Yeah.
And I think myself included with a bunch of others, maybe you call them old school people, maybe, people who've been around the sport, maybe not so much the newer folks because they haven't understand it that well, or understand what it's been like before. Everybody loves our sport, and it's very simple. It's not complicated. But people, unfortunately, for us as players and fans and spectators, people overcomplicate it. And to me, it's just mind-boggling. And I think they overcomplicate it because they want a return and financial return. And I get it, but that's not how this sport works, unfortunately, for that. I think it can be a big return eventually in a different route or different business model or business plan. But I just don't see it the way the people have tried to do it for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
What would you change?
Change in regards to the whole tour as itself?
Yeah, because you said the way it's been running for the last 20-ish years, not super sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard because I can't totally answer the questions. I can only answer what I've seen from outside and what I know, because I wasn't in those offices, right. And I wasn't in that leadership, and I wasn't in the those that financial backing, so to speak. But the reality is, like, if you're able to just throw money at it, then you could throw money at it. There's no really concern about where the next dollar is coming from.
Right.
Where if you're a true beach volleyball enthusiast or a business person, you're gonna manage it so that you can see the next dollar coming back in. So you got to live within your means is the basic form of that, is the way I see it. It's like, some of the things when you go into paramedic or firefighting, like, you get to work overtime. But one of the main things they teach you, or one of the little things off to the side they teach you, is that live within your means.
Yeah. Just
because you got an overtime, now you got a $10,000 check coming in, and your base salary is at $4 or $5 grand.
Right.
Live within your means, right? So, like, that's how I kind of approach the whole thing, the way I do my business in Sandcourt Experts, and working with, all the different colleges that I work with as well. And, the Hermosa Open as well. So I kind of try to live within those means and make sure that, everything's covered. I'm not going off the rails to try to make something bigger than it is,
Right.
And I think that's the basic foundation of how to get it grow. And then you can get into the other things that create revenue, the way I see it. And I think, Kent always talks about stuff like this. You have to listen to some of the stuff he has. I think he goes kind of beyond my thought process and a lot of those things. But I think in the basic format of it, there's a foundation of how you start it, and living within your means, building it up, and then going to the bigger things that can create revenue for it, and then making it. I mean, there's proof in the pudding that it's happened before, and we've done it multiple times back in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s, to be honest, it's happened. And there was a point where, from what I heard, we were about to sell the tour at $28 million, which in the big sports world is not really anything.
Right.
But for us, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like $28 million, I can do a lot with $28 million for the sport.
Probably about, I don't know, at least 15x what Bally's probably paid for it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so there's that, there's a value, I believe. It just has to be brought around. And then, some people say, well, with marketing and the way it's changed, I agree. But I think, and I've talked to a few people who are pretty into the marketing world, and there might be I don't want to say a complete U-turn or a return in the kind of the basic form of being on a site versus being, marketing out to the masses through social media and stuff. That's still going to be there. But there's also, I think, a means of certain sponsors out there want to have that. I call it can in the hand, because back in the day, and when we were Miller Lite, it was like, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
To have the can in the hand. They didn't want a draft handle. They wanted a can in the hand. So
I like that.
So, if I'm drinking, or, Karch is out there drinking a beer at a bar, like, people see the can. Oh, yeah, I want to be, give me that, So, like, that's how kind of the whole marketing thing went. And I still kind of think of things a little bit like that. When it comes to some of the sponsors I could bring in, and I ask, to try to look at it that way, because we don't have the sponsorship or the social media numbers to really push out there and say, yeah, we got, 1 million people. I try to use the players and ask the players, okay, to support this so we can push this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did some just basic numbers, but we're close to 1 million with all the players if we collectively work together, And so that's the other part of the whole marketing aspect is I think some of the past promoters or business people haven't really utilized the players so much to market what they want to do.
Yeah, and it's hard because marketing, it's like now it's so measurable and quantifiable, whereas back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, when it was basically the Miller and Cuervo tour,
yeah,
they were just kind of shooting blind.
Yeah.
But like at the same time,
today's standard, yeah.
Yeah, and by today's standards, where you can measure like whatever impressions and engagements and views and whatever, you can measure it like to the view.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I feel like it was just complete brand marketing.
Yeah.
Whereas but I think Mike Dodd brought up a pretty good point. He's like, we turned a shitty light beer into the beer everybody wanted to drink because you were hanging out, like you were doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so because you got the direct marketing, which is like, I'll give you a 20% off coupon.
Yeah.
You're going to exchange it. We know exactly how much we spent, how much we brought in. But then brand marketing, like we have no idea how much Bandera tequila, how many people are actually buying it because they sponsored the Hermosa Open.
Yeah.
But now they're associated with the beach volleyball lifestyle, and that's sort of like what people want them to associate with. You don't know how much value there is to it, but there's probably some.
There's some. It's
just not measurable.
It's going to be, I wouldn't say it's completely not measurable. It's you'll see like
not as
in
measurable.
That area,
Yeah.
like I think Miller Lite back then would say, "Oh yeah, you guys were in Dallas. We saw a little uptick in sales. That's how we only, and that's why I just in our little neighborhood, I just make sure like if I'm going to Tower, okay, I'm buying myself a Michelob Ultra or Kona Big Wave or a Bandera tequila or purchasing it at the beach market or things like that, and I think. And I try to explain to people that way too. I know it seems like silly, but it's as simple as that. If you can, I know it's not a big thing, but if everybody did that collectively, if all the players reached out and had people doing that, that's where I think our numbers are. you know, as collective, as a, you know, a player run, like just kind of like what we used to do back in the 80s when they got the player run tour.
Yeah.
It was based on that. And I think we need to start back to that almost, you know?
Yeah. And the cool thing, what I love about beach volleyball fans is that they are fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we have a small listener and viewership on SANDCAST, but they are the most dedicated, engaged. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And so like I think that our 8,000 subscribers on YouTube are more valuable than 100,000 sort of loose fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I think all beach volleyball fans are.
Yeah.
Like if you were to come all the way out to AVP, Austin, or Hermosa, or Chicago, or wherever, like people, it's like how they plan their vacations.
Yeah.
To come to these events. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that they're a type that will sort of vote with their dollars. Is how me and Delaney describe it, where that's what you do when you get Kona and Michelob and Bandera and whatever else it may be. I think that's how the beach volleyball fans work.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true. And you know, it reminds me of like, you know, when things are consistent. So now we know like Hermosa is going to be that first weekend after Labor Day. And that's the plan for the next 3 years, is that first weekend after Labor Day, that people can plan in advance for it. You know, is one of my first years on tour. It was like actually it was my second or third year on tour, and our first 5 swaps were in Florida. You know, we went through the little loop through Florida, and then the 5th stop was in Panama, or Pensacola, is where it was. And I kept seeing this guy, and I got to know him, and it was funny because I got to know him through, I was training like the 3rd year, and then he rolled up one day at the tournament because he would be at all 5 of them in Florida. And then one day he rolled up in his sweater, and he had a Good Stuff sweater on. And I'm like, dude, where'd you get that thing?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, I would come watch you there too, you know, and I love going to Good Stuff. And I'm like, and Good Stuff at the time was my sponsor. So I had all, I'm like,
oh, that's awesome.
No way, really? Yeah. He goes, yeah. So that's when I realized, he goes, yeah. I go, so what do you do? He goes, dude, I'm retired. I have an RV. I have a group that I, camp with throughout the year and stuff. And each year I invite them, and my group gets bigger and bigger. And we just come down, and some can come down for the whole 5 weeks. Some can only go down for a week or 2, but they come down and meet me with their RV. And they come out like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's when I first realized, like, this is just consistency to give more and more people in our group, the people come on. And it's just like, and the guy, actually my business partner with the SANDCAST Experts, he was brought to me, and I met him through another guy that Nick Hanneman had met 2 years prior to that, just randomly playing a beach tournament. This guy, we call him the old man Pat, and he would, he was a wild man. And he says, man, he lived in Central Florida, construction guy, retired. And he says, one day, I said, how'd you find like beach volleyball? I was like, one day I was sitting at home and the paper, and they had this King of the Beach thing in Daytona. So I decided, I'm going to go check it out. And this guy's a South African guy, and so I'm going to go check it out. So he goes down, he watches them play, he goes, dude, it was the best time of my life. So I looked up like where other beach volleyball tournaments. So they had this Bud Light tour that's in Florida, and that's where he went down, and he drove to like Fort Lauderdale. And then he met Nick Hanneman. And then the following year, I had made the pro tour, and we made the first round of the Cuervo at the time. So you had the first 5 events, you had X amount of points that get you in the main draw of the Cuervo.
Got it.
And so I made it with a guy named James Fellows, and Nick Hanneman called me and says, hey man, I told this guy, old man Pat, to meet you and introduce himself to you in Clearwater. I said, okay. So I go there, and I met this guy, and we sat down after we lost on a Saturday, and the bar was right there, literally like, the main center court, and then the bar was right there. It was just great.
Perfect.
People were having fun.
Yeah.
We sat down there. It must have been like 5 p.m. We stayed. We closed the place. We had probably like 30 people around us because he kept buying drinks for everybody. I didn't even get to my room yet, and I was still right off the beach. And we stayed there, party till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But he was a great guy. Came back the next year, and then I ended up playing with Nick on that tournament, and brought my business partner now, a guy named Butch Hendrick, come out and meet me and introduced us and stuff. And we had a blast there. And he never saw volleyball before, beach volleyball.
No
and
kidding.
He was first time. he went. He's like, dude, this is great. Him and his wife at the time came out, watched us in Clearwater, went back home, drove back down to Fort Myers to watch us play that next weekend. Then went back home, and then the following week we were in Daytona, went back home, watched us play there. And then he went after. He was a contractor by trade. He calls me like after that week. He's like, you know what? We just built a beach volleyball. I just built a beach volleyball court in my backyard. So you guys got to come over here next time you guys are through here. So after that, he had like a little training thing, and we would train in between the competitions, the 5 weeks. We'd train over there, and he'd have a host a tournament. So we'd play with his buddies, and then we'd play against each other. And he'd have he had prize money for us to train during the week.
That's awesome.
It was hilarious. So over the years, like Billy Allen's been there, John Mayer's been there, Phil Dalhouser's player, Nick Lucena, tons of players have all played there and had a blast and just kind of had a great time and just played. That's how it all started, like things like that, you know. And that's probably one of the best experience I've ever had, you know.
And that's one of the coolest things about the sport, I think, is the community that it creates. Yeah. And like it's so cool just being gone in Tallahassee, and then I come back and I just run into people and like Alvaro, I'm coaching the USA men's U21. And so I was just talking to him about how he got into coaching, and he just said, I called Nick Lucena, and when they were still playing against each other, and he's like, hey, man, I'm looking to get into coaching in the U.S. So Nick puts him in touch with Christina Hernandez at Stetson, who needed an assistant. So then Alvaro gets in with Christina, and Alvaro's like, hey, Nick, I'm looking at all this USA. They have a lot of opportunities. And Nick puts him in touch with USA. Now Alvaro's on his 4th stint coaching for USA. And it's just like, you just meet people. Yeah. And good things happen. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great sport.
No, and it's great because and then when I saw him, you know, starting to coach, I'm like, oh man, these kids have no idea. Like, this guy's amazing, man.
They have no idea. Yeah, it's so funny out there today, and I don't know. I think some of the more passionate of the kids, like they probably know his name. Yeah, I don't think they know how good Alvaro is.
No, they don't.
He's crazy,
and it's you know, and that's why I think at least when I coach, and I have. Like I had Rachel Scott help me this year with my high school team, and I told the kids, I said, do you know who this is? They're like, yeah, that's Coach Rachel. And I'm like, no, do you know who she, like, you know, what she's done before? And then one was like, oh yeah, she used to model or something. I said, you guys' job is to go home, look her up, and then come back the next day. Yeah. And the next day, they're like, dude, Coach, you played like
you were legit.
Like, you were legit. You're playing. And so like I think a lot of the times, and I try to do this too when I have the opportunity to do like some of the MC for some of the tournaments, like the COE and Cal Poly, and I just try to like because we have like Brooke there, we have Angela Rock, and we have
the star-studded cast. Yeah, and you got Todd Rogers, Olympic gold medalist. You got Brooke, who was top 10 in the world for a long time, and I don't think any of our kids at Florida State know that, how good she was as a player. Yeah. Nick, arguably the best defender in the world from 2010 to 2020, that decade. Yep. And you just go all the way down the line. Angela Rock, like, badass. Yeah. She's got to be one of the more badass women I've ever met. Right. I'm scared of her. She couldn't be sweeter.
Yeah. No, you know, and that's why I try to remind, especially the girls, I said, look, you guys have a path. These people have kind of created that pathway for you. Yeah. You know? And so I just try to just throw it out there. So maybe it goes through their ears and out the other ear or whatever. But I think it catches a couple of them, and they realize like, oh my gosh, like, you know, there's a lot to this whole thing. Yeah. You know, it's funny because Fenoy and I did this camp when the whole NCAA thing started back in 2013 or 12 or something. Yeah. And we did this camp in Hermosa, and we had all these kids. There must have been like 9 to like 14 years old, and we started telling them, oh man, you guys, we got collegiate beach volleyball, you guys have opportunity to get a scholarship. And we were just so hyped and excited about it. And you guys have any questions so far? And I'll never forget, this little kid raises her hand, and she's like, why are you guys so excited about it? and I look at each other, we're like, oh man, they have no idea. Like we were trying to talk them into all this stuff, and that's when we realized like, oh, time will, you know, it'll have to grow in time. But they have no idea. Because we tried to explain it to them, and I realized it wasn't really working because we're like, dude, if we had, you know, beach volleyball at college, we would have went and did that, you know, and played for our education and blah, blah. and they're just looking at us and like we're crazy. And then, but now look at us now. I mean, the program is, Collegiate Beach volleyball is growing, and now it's, moving up the ladder to our professional level of athletes. And we have such a large group, a number of players coming out of it.
Yeah.
And the level of play is like trickled down to my high school team. The level of play is crazy. Like
state champs.
Yeah, state champs.
Go!
That's right.
Come on, coach.
Oh man, it was the best. For our high school team to win the state champs this year, it was amazing. That I have to give props up to my Redondo Union High School girls. They did an amazing job. And I would even some people ask, "Oh, great job, coach." I'm like, dude, these kids they've been training for so long now at a high school level that they've got multiple coaches and stuff. I think my value, or my team's value, our staff value is creating them to be in more of a team atmosphere, and how to work. And you've seen this a lot, especially now that you've been in FSU, right? Yeah. Is how to work together, how to trust each other, and how to, to trust the coaches when you have to get put with another player and be able to be flexible to play with that player. Because I think that's one of the toughest things is for an athlete to play with somebody maybe they don't feel comfortable playing with, or they don't look at it. Boys are a little different. You can throw them together whether they like each other or not. Yeah. They'll battle it out and figure it out. And it's like that old saying, I guess it's like you battle to bond is the men's side of it. You throw them in there.
I heard that. I like that.
And then you bond to battle for the women.
Yeah.
So women, you have to go and do a team building thing and kind of do things together, and then they feel more like going after and battling.
Man, these last awesome. 8 months make so much more sense now, Mark.
Hey, it took me 12 years to figure that out.
That's why I like doing this podcast. I get to learn all this stuff. I get to learn from your experiences. It's so funny. Dude, going out with the U21 men today.
Yeah.
2.5 hours of just nonstop dialogue, shit talk. And then they were just like so cool after.
Yeah.
Like, man,
yeah.
If we had that kind of dialogue at Florida State, we'd be having 20 player meetings after. There would be tears.
Oh, tears galore.
Man, it was good to see a little testosterone again.
No, and that's right. That's where I realized quickly when I was coaching the girls program, is like, okay, I need to have female coaches on the sport, on the staff to help me.
Yeah.
And that's and it's kind of unique in the fact that the girls, the mindset and the thought process, because I'm just like scratching my head, go, what, really? And then like all the coaches, coach, really? Like, yeah, you get, so it helps make me connect with the athletes to understand, like the coaches will help kind of relate some of those things, like my mindset of what I'm trying to think. And they're like, no, coach is trying to explain this. I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, okay. And then, dealing with the female things that they got to deal with. Thank God the coaches are there, because I don't want to deal with them. I have to cover my ears. And they're like, coach, this happens. It's real. And I'm like, la. No, I don't want to talk to Coach Rachel. No, talk to Coach Megan. No. They're like, and they're all laughing at me and stuff like that. So, but it's a lot of fun. The kids this year, the Redondo kids are amazing. I mean, every year I've been lucky for the last 12, 13. This is my 13th season. But I've been lucky the whole time. I've had really good kids, and some of the kids come back. Yeah. One of my big things for my high school team is that they have a resource with us. This year we had 7 coaches, including myself, and so they have resources, and meaning that they can contact us anytime, and that's part of the deal as our coaching staff is like, these kids come back to us this year, right today, or 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. They have an opportunity to come back and talk about whatever they want, or have, an idea of what they want to go, or what they need, or direction need to be pointed to. We can help them, or if we don't know the answers, we can help them. So it's not all of the coaching, obviously, even though I like to say I'm the best coach in the world, but I know I'm smart enough to understand that these kids are beyond me. Because it's funny because I'm coaching them in an intense match, and I'm just thinking, I'm telling them to do something that when I was their age, there's no way I probably could have done it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, you got to drop and you got to turn, you got to dig this, and like, and the kids are like, okay. And I'm looking, as I'm telling them that, I'm like, dude, you didn't even know your head from your,
You're right.
So during that time, and I just start laughing as they run off to the court, and I'm just like, they'll get it. They'll figure it out.
And that's why, I was listening to, Karch was on a podcast with Gabby Reese.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about how a lot of times why phenomenal players don't make the best coaches.
Yeah.
Because they can do things that they couldn't really articulate or explain.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I first started playing and me and Troy first started doing the podcast, I would ask him so many questions.
Yeah.
Why'd you do this on the block? He'd be like, bro, I don't know. And he'd try to explain, well, I put my hand here and I did this. Like you just do it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not helpful. Try. But then you look at like sort of mediocre players, obviously phenomenal, but like Marv Dunphy became a great coach.
Yeah.
Hugh McCutcheon.
Yeah.
Amazing coach. Where I think, and the way Karch explained is like the more mediocre players really had to study it and to learn it and to figure it out. And you also have a greater empathy for things that don't come as naturally.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because like Nick will get so frustrated with some of the players. He's like, why don't they just get this? I'm like, buddy, I couldn't get it when I was 30. And so I think that empathy piece is important. What's been great for me is having Delaney at home too, because like Brooke now has run maybe the most successful college program over the last decade. Like no one's won more matches than her.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And then I'll have questions that I'll ask Brooke, but then before I even run it to Brooke, I filter it through Delaney, who's played and coached.
Yeah.
And has been a woman in college.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is a reasonable thing to.
Yeah. That's right. You got a back resource there. That's huge.
Yeah. So they really have 4 coaches on staff because Delaney contributes a lot that no one knows.
Yeah.
Like I run so many drill ideas by her.
Yeah.
And it's valuable.
Because she was an actual athlete that played, and then coached. Yeah, and then actually played on the tour too.
Yeah, won a NCAA championship, played in the finals of another.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Delaney's a very useful resource.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool to see. I actually, I'm curious what USA thinks about, whether they think about anything at all, but the influx of foreign talent in the NCAA. Because for a long time, like the NCAA was USA's greatest pipeline, and it still is.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, you look at the finals of TCU and LMU. There's 11 different countries represented.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it's raising the level of the game everywhere.
Yeah.
But I've heard people like, should there be a limit? I don't think there should. I think it's just the best player should play. But
I thought about that too, and people have asked that, and I think right now, I mean, the way I've thought about it, I haven't really heard anything that would be really heavily against that, from my perspective at least. If anything, it helps us.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, because they're coming here. They are learning from our programs, but we're also here too, right? So we get to compete against them or practice against them and learn there. So hopefully that'll bring our level up as well. So I think in the grand scheme, in the overall percentage of it, meaning the amount of foreigners coming in and playing on our collegiate level, I think we're still the major portion of that, but still benefiting from it as well.
Yeah, and if you look at the just success of USA women, that's not our problem.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's where hopefully USA can step up with that and help with the men's side.
Yeah, which I didn't even realize that USA, or not USA, but College Beach was like a thing for men. And then me and Nick were calling the championships in Huntsville. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you're going to call some men's matches. Like, men's what? Like, men's college. And Nick was like, what? That's a thing? It was awesome. It was cool to see.
Yeah. That and hopefully we can keep supporting those programs. Yeah. Things like Stevenson and out here, hopefully they're still doing, but Hope International. Then we had
there's Weber.
She's looking for a coach, I heard.
Weber is.
Yeah.
Really?
Beach coach, yeah. Because their beach coach ended up getting a D1 job or something.
Oh, cool.
Apparently. So,
cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just heard that today, actually. But, yeah, so if there's anybody out there, maybe you. I don't know.
It's interesting. I mean, the NCAA landscape has been moving along. When we were talking about Hawaii, and I mean, Evan Silberstein's been there for more than a decade.
Yeah.
South Carolina opened up UC Davis, new job. I'm interested to see, because it's such a Title IX dream sport, beach volleyball, that I mean, programs are just starting beach program left and right. But now I think with the new NIL, I think that's going to slow down to a complete halt, if not reverse.
Yeah.
Because we already saw Utah cut its beach program.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. After its best regular season ever.
Yeah. And they had some, I've never.
Some good players.
They had a couple really good players.
Yeah.
And I was when I watched them play at LMU, and they had a lot of good players.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what? And then later, literally like 2 weeks after that, they cut. I'm like, what? I was a bummer. It was a bummer because those kids were all talented, young, and still have an opportunity to
Yeah.
help build that program up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, the NCAA is under it's so many changes, and I don't think it's really going to get settled until football just becomes its own thing,
Right.
separate.
I don't even know how that works. That's beyond my
Yeah.
pay grade. Those things are.
It's a big hairy topic.
Yeah. Right. Man, that's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to circle back. You were first talking about some of the rule changes have improved the game, and some of the rule changes have not. What do you think are some of the rule changes that have done well? Because did you play in the side out and the rally era, or just rally?
Yeah, I mean, my whole game was the whole side out with a
Got
big
it.
court, and then they made the change, I think, in 2003, and that was kind of like, that was the end of my time, I guess.
Okay.
So there was probably, I think, in 2003, and then I ended up kind of playing intermittently from 2003 to 2005-ish.
Yeah.
Around, and they still had, there were some tournaments that had, not the pro tour, but some semi-tour stuff that had big court, because there was still the battle going on of big court, little, I don't know, at least in my perspective, and what I think of is the in the women's side, I think it helped the women's side of the game bring the court in a little bit. They already get the nets a little bit, obviously lower. I mean, because of the height difference and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think in the physical portion of it, even now, like the kids, the athletes now are completely, they're physical, and the guys and the girls. But the girls, when we're talking about just the girls and the court size and everything, I think it just relates to their style of play a little bit better. And I think it helps that game be more exciting to watch. And the athletes can be, and you don't see it so bad. Like you don't see consistency of a 6'5" or a 6'6", or even a 6'4" girl, women beach volleyball player. I think the big part about sports is that there's some relatability, so to speak, to your general public, at least for our sport.
Yeah.
Basketball, everybody wants to play basketball, and they try, no matter if you're Spud Webb or if you're,
Right.
Manu Bull or something, right? But the whole thing is that because the sport has grown, it's been big for a while, but they had struggles too at the beginning. If you remember going back, or if you look back, they had to grow their sport and come up with ideas to how to market
Until
it.
Larry and Magic came along,
Yeah,
a lot of those guys had part-time jobs.
yeah, and that's my point of the whole thing is, and back then you were able to relate with the players and be able to go out and play basketball, and it just grew with it, right? Now you got these amazing athletes that are just tall and they're just not your normal person, but the sport has grown and people have grown with it, that they still want to play basketball, want to be a part of it. Whereas beach volleyball, at least in my opinion, it went from a relatable part of life, beach life, that our sport was dealt around. It wasn't basketball. Basketball had to get people to come to them, right, and bring them into this arena. Whereas we got the opposite problem. We got a beach full of people, and then we want a volleyball game to break out, right? And so, and then when you have that, and you have people that are there, and they see somebody that they relate, physically, maybe, nationality and things like that, they're like, oh, that's how at least I look at it. That's how I kind of got started. I enjoyed playing with my friends, and I got hooked into it. And then I found like, oh, Allen. I was like, oh, this Polynesian guy is kicking butt, man. He's on the national team, and then he played on the 4-man tour, and then that was kind of, and other guys who are on the Outrigger club that, from Hawaii that played and stuff, and then Ponoma and all these guys. Then I was like another added part for me to be related. So I think more of the physical stature is the first start of it. With a bigger court, you're more relatable, 5'10" to 6'2" guy, which can go out there and play and have, amazing battles and play against some of the best. And, you got more of your taller guys at 6'6" and 6'9" and stuff, and taking over. And then the other part is they're changing the skill level of the play, which kills me, No
doubles.
No, and so that's the other part of so the women's side, the court stride, I think that's great. That's fine. Antennas, okay, whatever. Antennas. the skills, I just don't get it. People are like, well, that's where they want the game to be more. I don't even know what they want the game to be. Like the kids are capable of doing it because we can see them doing it, and then but we open that skill level to be for everybody. So if you can jump and handset good ball, I shouldn't be able to do it and gaff it and like not,
Right. It should be a skill.
It should be a skill that I have to perfect better
Yeah.
if I want to do that. Not just okay, well let's let Travis and Mark be able to both do it. And it's like okay, well then let's get the picnic game going here, down at the park. It's just to me it's sad. I think it's part of many of little things that have created our sport to not be as desirable. When people think it's trying to make it desirable, like when I watch the indoor and they're doing these two-handed like windmill power dunks with the ball, and I'm just like, wait, what? You
That
can do
Hawaii
that?
setter that did the
Yeah,
backwards dunk.
like don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a good kid, but man, like what is that?
And if that's within the rules, then yeah.
I mean, I
But
guess it is now, but it's just to me, it doesn't show
just
any
shouldn't be within the
skill.
rules.
Yeah, it shouldn't show any. Doesn't show any skill except for you're 6'6", 6'7", can jump 30 something inches, and you can do a reverse dunk on an 8-foot net. It's like, okay, cool, right? All right, is that what we want our sport to be looked at? Then some people say, well, that's kind of a, people who watch the sport, they don't know. I said, that's great. Let's teach them. Like,
Right.
if they're watching it because they're engaged in this, let's create a standard. Right now we have no standard. It's like somebody said, well, it's like basketball. Now you can, double dribble or you can carry over. Yeah. And now look at the basketball. At the skill level
It's
is not,
unwatchable.
it's like, you're not really, we had people who did it before without having to do this full carryover, do it right, do it properly. And you have the skill level of the game. Then the skill level will keep getting better because you have a set standard in that, a sport. So I don't know. It's a little frustrating to see it keep going. And on top of that, our sport being altered from format, and the skills and this easier game. So like I can go out there. I'm 54 years old and I can go out there and compete in a tournament and play. I got to play 2 matches today. That's it. Oh shoot, I'll go do that. Whereas you like we talked about double elimination. Double elimination, man, it's easy. You start a tournament, you end a tournament. You get it going, and then people battle. That was the best part of the sport is that you battled every single match you came in. Whether you played 2 matches, you were out, or you played 5 matches and you're coming back the next day.
Yeah.
Then you go hit the bar and party and tell everybody I'm coming back. Let's
Yeah.
go. And then you play the next day, and you battle through that too. And then I don't know. To me, it just created more excitement, create more of a battle type atmosphere and more excitement and more drive out of the athlete too. Like I just got started if I played 1 match. I'm like, dude, if I played 5 matches in a day, then I was just that felt pretty good. And if I got 6, yeah, that's it's going to be a battle. If I had to play 7, then I'm going to be gassed for sure. I'm going to be done. But if it was just 1 or 2, then I'd still had energy left. I'm like, dude, I can't. That's not. I need more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's kind of also been kind of changed and lost a little bit is that fight and that grind that people liked about beach volleyball, because now the players don't have to do that. They just go, oh, my match is not till 11 o'clock. We win that, then we play at 2:30, then we're done for the day. It's like, man, people went down to the beach so people can see those people.
Yep.
And I remember myself when I was a kid, when I was still watching beach volleyball, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I just go down 9 o'clock in the morning, see, all the top players and come back. If I had to leave or come back or whatever, came back at 3 o'clock, those players were all still around because they're either still battling or they just lost or they were at the beach. It was like a whole lifestyle thing. That's the other thing. Our whole sport has kind of lost that whole lifestyle. And I think that's the biggest selling point we have is that we have the lifestyle. I think we kind of talked on it before. Is like you have a sponsor or you have a product that you're selling, and it's associated with something like surfing. Surfing is people always want to compare sports, and surfing I think is the only one you can really even remotely compare it to, and it's not even comparable, but comparing in the fact that It's a lifestyle sport that, your person in the Midwest is, wearing billabong or body glove equipment, or shorts or board shorts, and probably never even seen the ocean, let alone surfed in the ocean, right? So, but they wearing it because of the lifestyle. They're going to the lake, but that's the whole thing. So I think if we grasp that and we kind of go back to our roots a little bit with that, then I think it'll expand from there.
Yeah. That's why I think Taylor Crabb is the most pure essence of a professional beach volleyball player.
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because he's been to the Olympics, and he's coming on tomorrow night.
Cool.
And I actually want to talk to him about this, because he's like, Olympics I can give or take. He's out there winning force tournaments.
Yeah.
Saying, Mark, give me 3 Ds.
Yeah.
I'll win with 3 Ds.
Yeah.
Going out there, playing Huntington with Billy Allen.
Yeah.
Playing a CBVA in Santa Cruz. Like, he just does it. And people are like, well, you should be doing this. He's like, bro, I just want to play beach volleyball.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do. He's
the perfect example of what we're talking about being relatable, right? He's just out there playing. Like you said, four-man. He could come out, he calls me up, hey, you got a spot left? I'm like, why, you want to play? He's like, yeah, okay, I got you. I'll get you in. And, it's like, this should be like that all the time. Yeah. Back then, that was the best marketing piece we had. And if I owned a tour, that's exactly what I would tell every single player. Don't be a prima donna. Go out there and play.
Yeah.
Go play with everyone. Everybody can relate to a guy, especially in his best day, maybe 6 foot, you know? So people go and watch him because they can see and they kind of connect with him because he's just out there, and he goes and plays. That's like Rosenthal, same thing. Sean, same.
Yeah.
Almost same.
The people's champ.
People's champ.
And Taylor Crabb has taken that crown.
Yeah.
People's champ.
For sure. And it's just, we just need more of those, people get it. Just go out there. It's like MD sat here, I think, and told Try, go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Go and play. So I call Try once in a while and say, hey, come on, we got a 4-man tournament coming up.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I got to play in one of those. So Try, if you're out there listening, you got to come down. Let's go playing.
You gotta get his walker. Walk down, man.
But you might have to play more than 2 men. I love you, Try. But yeah, it's, those things like that, I think, is the essence of our sport. I think we're getting away from that. And I think that's not how our sport's going to survive, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think you're bringing a purity to the sport with Hermosa.
I hope so.
Bringing
and
it back.
I hope so. And that, if we can get as many people down there, have some fun, meet some of the players or just come out and have some fun. Go figure out whatever your niche is. If it's just hanging out, getting a little sun ray and being at the beach, do it. What was the coolest thing of last year when I was loading up? It's like 10 o'clock at night. Like we were just packing up the truck and we're almost done. And these 2 ladies walk down the alley behind Good Stuff. And the lady's like, hey, are you Mark? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I just want to tell you thank you. And I'm like, for what? Like, she's like, my sister and I, we've always wanted to come to, Southern California. And last year we were like, dude, we're going to do it. We're going to we're going to go to Manhattan and we're going to go to Hermosa. And then when we heard that Hermosa wasn't happening, we were like, oh man. But then we heard your event got for it. So we put the trip back on.
Oh, I love that.
And we ended up coming out. I'm like, really? And I said, where did you play volleyball? What do you? So we don't really play volleyball. And I'm like, what? And they're like, we just like the beach and we like the sport and we just wanted to come out, support it, and be here.
Awesome.
And we just came out and just watched. I'm like, really? And they're like, I go, you got to come back next year then, So hopefully they come back again. So
I love that, man.
Yeah,
that's
out
awesome.
of the blue, like just some. And I was like, man, that's cool. That's the stuff that I remember.
Yeah,
playing.
That's great. So before we go, let's details one more time. September
4th through the 7th. Yep.
Sweet. Streaming's TBD.
Yes, we're gonna stream it. It's gonna be. We're gonna let everybody know it's gonna be
somewhere,
someplace. We're gonna do something.
32 team main draw, double-elim.
Yeah.
Purity.
It's a true open. So like anybody and everybody, whoever wants to try to get in and qualifier,
you have no cap.
The CBVA opportunity to qualify there on the weekend before.
Most of the weekend before.
Yeah, August 30th and 31st. And then the main draw starts on the 5th, but we also have the qualifier the day before, open, single elimination, and come out and give it a try.
And shout out to Wedbush.
Yes, Wedbush. Thank you. For sure.
Shout out to you.
Okay,
Mark Paaluhi, keeping beach volleyball pure.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for doing what you do,
I
brother.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's all fun.
Shoots.